You know, the Twin Cities area of Minnesota is finally booming with ice anglers. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We just had a slow start to the season. We needed our ice to get to where it needed to be. But I'll tell you what, we had a really big cold snap. We gained a ton of ice. Everything hardened up. There's people starting to drive their pickup trucks out. I would still encourage you to practice caution. Maybe don't be the first person to drive on a body of water, right? Ask the local bait shops. Maybe network on social media. Get some feelers out there on that sort of stuff. But I've been driving out now. We're looking at anywhere from 16 to 20 inches of ice around a lot of the metro. Still finding some lakes with 13, 14. South Metro, as you go down towards Faribault, you even have more ice. They have a lot of great ice. They got some rain when we got that snow. That was the insulating factor. That's why we had a delay, is we had so much snow on our ice that it actually creates an insulation barrier so that ice can't form. But that cold weather, that sub-zero Arctic weather, that -15, -20 breaks through that. I don't care how much snow you have at that point, you're gonna make some ice, and we sure did. So we're back after it. And these fish are really, they're moving quite a bit. They're starting to slow down with that snow and that lack of light penetration. We saw an absence of fish in the shallow water. I'm usually targeting a lot of fish in shallow weeds, right? Our shallow weeds just kind of died off and honestly didn't really stay and go to fruition because of the lack of light, which in turn is lack of oxygen, lack of weed growth, the lack of whatever, bringing all this stuff in, right? So a lot of these fish moved into that edge, the edge of the basin. Now that doesn't mean you have to go out into the abyss, 30, 40 feet of water, but you can catch these fish, at least we are, in 16 to 20 feet. That's been a key zone across much of the Twin Cities, whether you're in the Chisago area or whether you're on Lake Minnetonka and anywhere in between, West Metro. 16 to 20 feet seems to be that first major break transition area where these fish want to house, where insects kind of flourish and meander through the water column, which in turn brings your bluegills and your crappies, which has been our target focus the last couple of weeks. A lot of bluegills, a lot of crappies, caught some really nice hybrid sunfish, super aggressive. That's a cross between a bluegill and a pumpkin seed. They're the apex predator in that sunfish family. Super aggressive. They will absolutely destroy tikka minnows. They will destroy pinhead pros. They will gobble up tungsten. They're a very aggressive natured fish. A lot of fun to catch, a lot of tug on a rod. My katana spring bobber combo just gets a workout when you tie into one of those hybrids. So that's how we're finding these fish. I'm using a system of forward-facing sonar to locate these schools. And then what I'm doing, maybe uncommon as it is, and against popular belief, is I actually turn the forward-facing sonar off at that point. I find my fish, I find my school, I turn it off, I get my auger, and I go. I know there's some fish over here, 50 feet that way, whatever it might be. I get after them, I grab my K-drill and my clamp plate, and I go cut holes. And then I grab my Vexlar, which is my fish catching tool, to stay on top of these fish and really focus on what these fish are doing. And I'm not playing the cat and mouse game. I'm not chasing my tail, I'm not getting winded, I'm not tired. We've had some cold temps. It's easier that way. So that's kind of how I'm chasing down these fish. And when I find something that these fish are relating to, then you have the opportunity maybe to sit down, hunker down on top of these fish and set up camp if that's what you're looking to do. But for me, you want to start with something aggressive. And for me, it's a small tikka minnow. It's a pinhead pro, right? It's a jig and a larger plastic like a Mackie, or maybe a silky combination with plastic. I'm trying to get that aggressive natured fish right away, get down quick, catch that fish. And then if I'm starting to see more of a negative, I'm looking at my Vexlar, it's my fish mood indicator. It's telling me that these fish don't want that certain presentation, but they're interested. Then I grab my swirl drop, I grab my drop kick, I grab my drop. I play anything from size 12 to size 14. I might add some maggots. I might nip hook a plastic, whatever it might be, and I might rely on that spring bobber. The last week or so, the spring bobber has been my best friend. We've seen a subtle bite, a finicky bite. That's just what these fish are doing right now. We're in the doldrums, the dog days of winter. Even though it's almost 40 degrees out right now, we're filming this video, but trust me, we're still in the dog days of winter. We got some more cold weather coming, and sometimes you got to just sit over the top of them with 2-pound test line, an inline reel, your spring bobber, and a size 14 or size 12 jig, and focus and pay attention to every fish that shows up on your Vexlar and make the most of it. So I plan to chase down some more fish this week. I have not done a lot of walleye fishing. I've done some tip-ups for pike. We've had some success on that. They're definitely still eating. But for me, I'm going to be continuing to chase down crappies and bluegills and put some miles on my feet chasing down these schools of fish. So get out there, have some fun. I expect to see a good bite here this next week. We got a great forecast ahead of us. It's going to be in the 20s, which to me is perfect. Doesn't make things slushy, but I'm not frozen up. So what I would tell you to do is get out there. There's a lot of great ice fishing ahead of us. We have good ice here in the Twin Cities now. Get the ice fishing gear. If you've been, lazy and haven't been out ice fishing, yet this year, that's okay. I get it. But get going. Get in gear. Get out there, chase some fish. They're biting. It's a whole lot of fun, and we have weeks ahead of us before this season's over.